Holy Coaster Giant, we are live. Welcome to the Chain Dogs podcast, where we talk about everything theme parks, attractions from all over the world. Thank you so much for joining me. How are we all doing, everyone? We good?
Good, thanks.
Yes, we are joined by Matt, aka Coaster Giant. How you doing, Matt?
I'm all good, thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking me.
pretty sure everyone in the chat, well, pretty much everyone in the chat will know who Matt is. But if you don't, he runs a YouTube channel called Coaster Giant, where he does vlogs from all his trips. You've done a lot of trips in the last few years.
Quite a few. Got a lot still to edit. Got a lot of videos to edit still as well. So.
Didn't you say you had like 20 or something, or 15 or 20 odd vlogs?
Yeah, between 15 and 20 videos I've still got to do.
Jeez, man. That's like the dream.
Yeah.
When I was vlogging,
it's getting time.
When I was vlogging, it was literally like, okay, I've got to get a video out next week. Where do I go? That was literally what I had to do. So having a backup of content is the dream.
Yeah.
But we will come on to Matt's. I can say Matt's story.
Oh God,
this is your life.
It's like X Factor.
No, but we want to kind of hear
an
more
origin
about
story off recording. I was like,
yeah,
you'll talk about Wolverine or some shit.
Exactly. No, but thank you to everyone in the chat for joining us live. It's so good to have you here. We got Jack G, we got Joshua, we got Iona, we have John, we have Ads, and there we go. Yes, and shout out to all the lurkers. It's great to have you with us. So first of all, I want to talk quickly about attraction source events that recently took place on was it Sunday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Manor Madness at Drayton Manor. How was it? I know you Matt and James was there. Was it good?
It was very good. I mean, a lot of the names in the chat tonight are people that we met at Manor Madness.
Yeah.
No,
it's really good.
Yeah, the event was really, really good.
I think it's quite overall. Yeah, Drayton put on quite a different day compared to probably the Merlin parks and the other parks that you associate attraction source with a little bit more. So yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
We had
what was, because I honestly I didn't know what was going on. Like how was the day structured? Did you it was Gold Rush, you got to have a walk around, didn't you?
Yeah.
So start of the day was Gold Rush at ERT for half an hour before it opened to public.
Re-rides on that.
Re-rides, takeovers throughout the day. We had what was it? Had a buffet.
A buffet?
Yeah,
had it? What's in the
hotel?
Oh, okay. I remember the last
buffet.
Buffet, yeah.
I remember the last event I did. I can't remember. It might have been like Vikings or something. I can't. No, probably not Viking. I can't remember what it was. Might be the part. Yeah, it was the party bingo. Party bingo thing. So like the creators. But I remember the buffet being like pretty good.
Yeah, no, it was.
This was like hot buffet. I had like salmon and like quite fancy food. It was good.
Lamb koftas, sweet potato curry.
Yeah, that sounds like the one I had, and it was actually pretty. It was really good actually. Nice. So, James, you got to do Gold Rush. What did you think?
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Such a fun family coaster. And different to others, I actually prefer Cycle 1 over Cycle 2.
Someone else
Going
preferred
over the
Cycle
top
1. I can't remember who it was.
First. It just kind of flowed a bit more in my mind with the layout.
Which one's which again?
So
Cycle 1 goes over the lift first and then launches backwards. And then Cycle 2, it goes up the lift, stops, and then rolls backwards. Well, is launched backwards down the lift.
Yeah.
And then launches forwards and then goes over lift fully.
I feel like no one talks about the fact it launches you down the lift hill.
Yes.
I feel like has that ever been done before on a coaster?
It's the first thing I noticed on the test footage. Like that's not just falling down by gravity.
No.
That's
It is properly launched down.
You feel it, like that whip you get on there at the end of that for that first turn. Oh my god! Like, I was not expecting that when I first did it.
I still can't decide if 1 or 2 is better. I need more rides on both.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I like Cycle 2, but I also like the fact on Cycle 1, you've almost got like the best till last, saving the best till last. Because I feel like once you've done it a few times, when you do like Cycle 2, you're like doing the whole launch backwards and things, and then you go over the lift and you're like, okay, now it's just to the end now. But it feels like a more complete kind of layout when you go Cycle 1, like you're saying, James, in terms of like it feels like it makes sense. But Cycle 2, I just like how bonkers it is, and it is like a little bit more thrilling. I think like getting launched down the lift hill is really backwards. Is something special. I think,
especially when you can't see that turn coming after it.
Yeah. Just going into the comments there, we got Man was incredible until it very clearly turned bad in the spoons. Yeah, I heard about that.
There was issues with rioting in Tamworth.
Yeah. This is why I moved from Tamworth to Litchfield.
Everyone quickly vacated the spoons and got out of the area, so everyone was fine. And
pretty much, I was expecting to read in all like the news articles, like Attraction Source, a local event, was also
involved in the riot. It's just like
like a headline.
Imagine Attraction Source specifically gets named in like the Daily Mail or some shit.
Iona said the surprise of going in the ride area at the end of the day really topped it off. Team Cycle 1. So Iona likes
the
Cycle 1.
The behind the scenes at the end of the day was something else. Just
it was
complete free access.
Yeah.
Just go wherever you want. You can touch a track. It might be oily.
Didn't Lee do a talk as well?
Yes.
Yes, there was Lee and someone from Guest Excellence, which I can't remember his name.
Ads will let us know. Yeah, Lee, obviously worked a lot with Lee during the project, and it was really good, to be honest, to work with him, because he had such like an eye for detail and everything. Like it was like the whole thing. It was good to work with him. I do really regret missing that thing, because it's really good. I would like to hear the talk, but
it was a really relaxed talk as well. It was mainly question and answer session, and they were quite like they were quite open with everything they talked about. In fact, there's more projects on the way and potential for a second train on the wave, that kind of stuff. So it's exciting.
Expedition said Cycle 6 is the best. No idea what you're talking about. Talking about Gold Rush, Cycle 1, Cycle 2.
Is that the launch lift hill in boost mode or something? Or
yeah, Cycle 6.
There's actually another track just raises up out of the ground. Just like...
Cycle 6, a complete different coaster.
Yeah. Lee's going on Ollie Carr. Oh yeah, Ollie Carr. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
It's like
pick up the videos.
Like Rude Ball at Phantasialand. Sorry, I'm still stuck on this Cycle 6.
Rob says, big up the videos in the talk, which 2 out of the 3 that featured were filmed by someone in this call.
Oh, okay. Nice. Fair enough. I'm sure everyone's like sick of them by now. But yeah, there we go. So that was Attraction Source. Who's going to the Summer Towers Times? Well, it's not even called Towers Time. Is it called Towers Time still? No, it's not.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
Summer Festival.
Towers Time Summer Festival.
You going, James? I know you are, man.
I am not.
Oh,
I can't make it.
One day we'll have her.
Don't worry, I'm not either.
One day we'll have a full.
I wonder why, Mikhail.
Yeah, I just can't make it that
week.
week.
2 minutes down the road, isn't it?
Yeah. So next, so obviously, McCall, you went to Cedar Point the other week for Buzz Bars.
When that first time since 2019, I've been feeling like I think it's time. I had felt so accomplished at Cedar Point and was like, I feel like it's time to get back to that park.
Yeah.
But yeah, for those who don't know, I am a member of the Buzzed Bars Coaster Club, started by the Drunk Riders and Coasters and Brews. And they had a stumble event back in July, like in the middle of July, called Top Thrill Stumble, for, I guess, for some people obvious reasons, but that obvious reason was not open. But yeah, no, it was an incredible weekend anyway. And I was basically campaigning to Sean to get him out for the weekend, but I understand why you're ultimately like, it's not worth a trek over there.
And then that same weekend, you was also like, everything's shut. He sent me that screenshot.
Well, I mean, yeah, like that's one thing about. I'm not going to go too deep into just, this is not going to become a Cedar Point like topic or anything, but yeah, ride availability, especially like at least on the Saturday, it did get better on Sunday. At least on the Saturday that we were there, like ride availability was not great at all.
I've been
literally everyone was tracking the wait times on qtimes.com, and at any given time you could open up the app, well, the website, and it would show like 4 or 5 or 6 coasters down at any given time, and it's like, okay, well, what are we gonna ride, lads? Like, but no, overall it was an insanely good weekend. I've been thinking about it since I came back. Like I just want to go back to that weekend.
Yeah,
it was so good. The highlight for me of the entire weekend was doing the what they called the Stumbleina wine mixer, which was basically a booze cruise on Lake Erie. We basically rented out a 350, a chartered boat which has a capacity of 350 people, and just went out onto Lake Erie. For anyone who's unaware, Cedar Point is on a peninsula which juts out onto Lake Erie, which is one of the biggest lakes in that Great Lakes area of the like northeast midwestern United States. And it's actually not the biggest, even though it's huge. It looks like the sea. It looks like it. So yeah, we did that. I got to take photos of the Cedar Point skyline, which is something that I've wanted to do for years. Oh, what's up, Harry? It isn't in some ways, and in some ways it very much is. But yeah, that was insane. After my trip there in 2019, I was just like, I've done pretty much everything that I want to do at this park, except for take a boat out onto Lake Erie and take photos of the Cedar Point skyline and all of the iconic coasters like there and stuff. And we got to do that on this weekend. So that was a surreal moment being out on the boat. I was like, wow, it's just another photography moment that I've been able to do, which was awesome. So that was incredible. I prefer Maverick to Steel Vengeance.
Is that new? Is that like a new thing for you? Like, or
well, I had sort of like looking at what both coasters do. I had Steel Vengeance ranked over Maverick for like since my last trip in 2019. I remember. I remember having rides during that weekend 5 years ago that I enjoyed, like rides on Maverick that I enjoyed more than Steel Vengeance. And I was like, do I just straight up prefer Maverick to Steel Vengeance? So I was assessing that, and getting back on Steel Vengeance after 5 years was eye-opening as well. Finally got a back row ride on it. I had been waiting since my last trip to get a back row ride on Steel Vengeance, and yeah, I just straight up, like, I had, so I didn't get to ride Maverick until the Sunday, because that was one of the coasters, if not the coaster, that was having the most issues throughout the bulk of the weekend. And then on Sunday, it was open pretty much the entire day. So we started the Sunday with early entry on it, because we were staying on site, and we got on literally the first train of the day, and then I got on maybe the third.
Yeah.
And I could already tell the difference in terms of how it was riding, in terms of how quickly it was warming up. It was like by the second ride, I was just like, oh, it's wasting no time. It's wasting no time whatsoever. And the rides that I had gotten on Steel Vengeance on the Friday night and the Saturday, I was like, okay, it's really, really good. But Zadra and Gwazi are better. Like, categorically. It not like it. I'd always felt like Steel Vengeance overstays its welcome. It loses steam in that second half, like closer towards the end. But then even the first half just didn't feel as powerful. Like, it didn't feel as powerful as Zadra and Iron Gwazi, and even as powerful as I remembered Lightning Rod from 2019 to be. I was like it's awesome, but it's not. It's not. I guess it's just not my personal cup of tea. And then on the Sunday night, we finished out the night with 3 Maverick night rides back to back to back. I was like, oh, this is unquestionably the best ride of the park. Like unquestionably. Like, it was so good. So good. So Maverick has taken a leap in my rankings back up to where it was. I think it's hovering around the 10 to 12. No, it's not. It's like 11 to 13 range. I haven't looked at the rankings in a little bit. But and yeah, it's above Steel Vengeance by like 4 or 5 places or something like that. Millennium Force came damn close to overtaking Steel Vengeance for me, because we got a front row night ride on the Saturday on it, and that thing, just like Millennium Force is my cup of tea. Like, when it's running well, like, obviously it reaches 90 something miles per hour. Of course, you get like, it's super speedy, super crazy high sense of speed. But when it's running properly, like, no one can talk to me about it being forceless. No one can say those words to me. Like, it's just like, it's incorrect. Like, you get airtime on every hill. There's strong positives down the drop. Through the first overbank. Countless people saying like, "Oh, grayed out on the overbank." I didn't quite gray out on it, but the forces are strong on there. It doesn't. Of course, it's not going to have like, send you to the moon ejector or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the airtime is there, and it's really enjoyable.
I can't wait to. I mean, I know I'm going on from Millennium Force, but just Maverick, I just know it's going to be a top 10 for me, because like, I just love Intamin. I love most Intamin coasters, I do, and it's just like the fact that it's got shorter trains is always going to be like, I just can't wait to kind of experience that. We got that with like Fahrenheit. Like, I got a taste of that with Fahrenheit, because they're short trains, if I remember. But like, just to do it on that layout, I just can't wait. Wait.
The way it flings you, like, it's insane. It is more it is more at points it is like the force switching is stronger on Maverick than it is on Taron and Velocicoaster.
Nice.
Like, when it's running well, like, there's a reason it has the over the shoulder straps, because if it didn't have them, you would get whiplash going through the Stengle pack. It's insane.
I'd said Maverick slaps better than Taron.
I respect it, because,
I mean, everyone just, I don't really think you can compare. Well, I guess you can compare them. The same model. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, everyone just loves hating on Taron at the minute.
I still prefer Taron. Like, I still prefer Taron, especially Wintertron Taron, because of everything that goes into that experience and just the level that Wintertron Taron operates at. Like, I still prefer Taron at Wintertron, but I respect the opinion that Maverick can be preferred over Taron.
I don't think it will be Taron for me, just because of like that.
I don't think it will.
Just added like theme in an area and just the feeling of.
And you have crazy sentimental connection to Taron. Like I don't expect it to be
it's
Taron
silly at this point. Yeah. Cool. Let me just go through the comments.
Crazy good week.
Have you heard about this Ultimax? The Planet Coaster.
Yeah. So we were gonna get into this yesterday, but we didn't end up talking about the Planet Coaster 2 stuff, did we?
Yeah. Well, we kind of need to wait for Luke to come back. By the way, Luke's not here because he's ill, and Emma's running errands. So they'll be back next week. But yeah, we want to go. But just to give content to Ultimax, it's Planet 2 have named the coasters that they're like based on. They've come up with their own names that are based on the manufacturer. So Intamin is Ultimax, which is amazing. I love that.
Well, those I had a real good chuckle at. They're actually really funny. I can appreciate that kind of humor from
them. Jack G said, I'm very excited for when Drayton sort out that middle section with the abandoned Excalibur, pirate stuff, and random funfair rubbish around. Really left a bad taste when other areas are really nice. I mean, actually, it's not abandoned Excalibur. It's the Castle of Dreams, actually. But yeah, it kind of that's what it's called.
Really?
Yeah, so this
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So, you know, Drayton Manor, they got that big castle in the middle of the park.
Oh, yeah.
Not Pirates, the actual one on the lake. Like, that's the station to Excalibur, but then they put all flooring down, and that's what they use as their, like, Christmas thing, the walk-through attraction and scare mazes and stuff. But, it does seem like now...
The scare maze.
Yeah.
I'd love them to knock it down.
Yeah.
I hate the way it blocks off the lake and everything behind it.
I don't know what the view would be, though. Maybe. I think it might reveal more stuff than they'd want to show, though, now. Because there is still, like, theming around there, isn't there?
But if they use that space for a new ride... then...
Yeah. It needs to happen. I mean, like, they're slowly doing the whole park, aren't they? Obviously, like, before... Frontier Falls was there, I'd say that was the worst part of the park in terms of how it looked. But now they've done all that up. So, they're going down an itemized list, I think, of what needs sorting.
It's the last area, isn't it, that they haven't touched?
Yeah.
What would you like to see at Drayton next?
I think literally that. I think they need to finish off Frontier Falls, hopefully, like, theming up. If that's still the plan, like, theming up Accelerator more. Bringing like haunting into Frontier Falls a little bit more, because it doesn't stand out too much, because you walk through the portal bit and you're fine, but just bringing that as a complete area would be good. And then I know Matt's probably got a lot to say about this, but yeah, and then it would be sort of that middle area. I'd like him to keep it to Pirates, just because I don't know, that might just be a sentimental thing, but I think it works, that bit being like a harbour / like piratey area. You got the pirate ship there, and I just want Pirates to be like them to do like new version of it. That's what I'd like.
Ride.
Yeah, new dark ride. How about you, Matt?
I would, as much as I would like that, I don't think they'd ever do it justice to bring back the Pirate Adventure.
No. So
I'd flip it, and so I'd open up the lake and do a take on Pirate Adventure on that, using the same kind of system as Excalibur. But then I'd just create an indoor theme park, pirate themed area inside the building. So they've actually got indoor space for when the weather's bad, and they can use that in the winter and everything as well.
Yeah.
But I'd definitely keep Pirates.
Yeah, I'd love. I just want them to have like a really big standout dark ride. I think
that would work well.
Yeah, I mean the haunting's good. I do like, obviously the haunting's great. I mean most people who've never been to that park and do the haunting they're always like kind of not saying it's the best ride in the world, but it is like it surpasses people's expectations most of the time that I've taken people on there or seen people's vlogs. I saw an an Australian guy vlogger go there the other day, and he was like amazed at how good it was.
I kind of feel like the haunting in terms of the ride hardware opens up the park for the addition of, like you said, Sean, a signature, like a standout signature dark ride. Because the one thing I noticed about the haunting is that like the ride hardware is smaller than expected. I thought it would be the same size benches in the same size main room as Hex. It's not. So
it was a second ever intimate Vekoma Madhouse after the one at Efteling.
Was it Villa Volta?
Villa Volta, yeah. And I think they did like a mini version for Drayton, and then Hex, and then the rest of them.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, they need like I just want like a traditional dark ride. Like, do you think? I don't know. I think it could happen, but like you said, Matt, like the amount of money, I don't know. Like, it still amazes me that they had a ride like Pirates at that park.
Yeah,
it's mental because it was actually like Pirates of the Caribbean.
But how much would that cost nowadays?
It would be so expensive. I think like
animatronics.
It would just, and the like keeping that up all year round as well, like making sure things don't break all the time. But they did.
Like, imagine if it opened. They did, but like imagine if it opened and there was just like screens and like just static physical scenes and stuff. Like, it just. I'm not saying they couldn't do it. I just don't think they would be able to do it justice.
Or like 2D. Like,
it would be a huge statement from Luke, though.
Yeah,
with Drayton being the biggest park that they own.
Yeah,
like to make that kind of investment into Drayton, and
the throughput of them top of rides as well, it's big. But it would have to be done like it would cost an insane amount of money. But then like Symbolica wasn't actually that, like, it obviously was a lot of money, but it wasn't like as much money as you thought it would be. Like, it didn't even have to be on water. I mean, it would be better if it was, but I don't know. Well, I mean, they could do something like they're doing for Dance Macabre. That type of ride would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
How big is it in there? Because it's a big building.
It's got to be massive, isn't it? Like, I mean, if you go on Google Maps, you'll see like actually like how big that was.
It is. When I've looked, it looks like about half the size of Thomasland, but I don't know how much of that building's used for other stuff as well at the minute.
Yeah. Okay, so Symbolica was like 35 mil. So yeah, I think that's probably out the question.
It wasn't that expensive, just 35 mil.
I'm sure it was like 15 or something, and I was like, but no,
on its way to a bargain.
But yeah, we'll have to see. Let's see what people are saying. What is the new area comparable to theming wise? In terms of Frontier? Is that what?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about at the time.
Comparable to theming wise.
In terms of like what is like theme integrity,
standard,
like how well it's done.
Yeah.
Theme. Comparable. Like, no, what's it compared to? I don't know. Let us know what that question is.
Wild West area?
Sorry, Jack.
I'm not too aware of other parks that have Wild West areas, even though apparently damn near every European park has one.
I was going to say, there is like a, it's not like a Disney World level or like Disneyland level. It's probably more comparable to like Paulton's Park, but there's some things I think Paulton's Park do better in what the hell, Tornado Springs. But there's some things in Frontier Falls that I think they do better.
Tornado Springs has a lot of that second layer visual storytelling in it, which I wasn't expecting. Like, there are a lot of signs alluding to certain things to raise curiosity about the story behind the area. Which
yeah,
I haven't looked. Obviously, I've not been to Drayton, but like yet, like in a while. But
I would say
how deep they really go into the storytelling of the land in there.
I agree with Joshua. It's like Port of Venturas, I'd say. Like it's a generic Western area, but just done well. I only said it really wish in the meantime they gave the middle area a name. Seems strange. All the other parts of the park have a name except for the middle bit. What did it used to be called? It used to be called something, didn't it?
Wasn't it just Pirate Cove?
I think it was Pirate Cove, yeah. That's what it used to be called. And then 1 year I got it. Yeah.
So that transition from Adventure Cove to Pirate Cove, if they were to do that, would actually be quite cool.
Yeah, it would be good. Portland's new dark ride looks really cool. That's a smaller scale. Yeah, I believe it's a different style of ride though. It's more of like I'd say it's more comparable to what's that ride called in Disney World in Magic Kingdom? Like a carousel type thing.
Carousel of Progress.
Yeah, Carousel of Progress. There you go. It's more like that, but in reverse. No, actually, no. Yeah, the building doesn't, because that in Carousel of Progress, the building actually moves, doesn't it? Whereas I think with the Polton's one, like, does anyone else know in here what it is?
Polton's one.
Yeah.
Polton's, it's like a kind of show with the central bit turns, I think.
Yeah. So
and it will change scenes.
Yeah, it's something like that, isn't it? Whereas I think with Dance Macabre, it's like individual. It is a similar type of ride, though. Yeah, it is a similar type of ride.
I've not heard Dance Macabre be mentioned anywhere recently. Is it still like it's supposed to open next year, right? Is it still
which one?
It's 31st of October.
Yeah.
Oh, this Halloween. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay. Actually,
yeah.
It's on Halloween. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I genuinely think I want to go to it this year.
You should. What? Like
we've never been to Efteling in the winter either, and I think it would be like really nice. Any excuse to go and visit Netherlands anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. So let's come on to you, Matt.
Hi.
You. I haven't really got questions. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your channel. When you started it, what made you want to start it?
Okay, so in a nutshell, I spent the second lockdown discovering that people actually made vlogs from theme parks, which I honestly never knew until lockdown. So became addicted to watching that when I'd got nothing else to do and couldn't go out anywhere. And then as soon as I could go out somewhere, I booked a trip to Portaventura, and literally 2 days before, I decided to just buy a camera because I wanted to document it. Obviously watched this channel called Parksville. It used to be around. And just like documenting your memories that way rather than just photos I just thought that's really cool. I'll give it a go. I'd got no skills with a camera or editing skills or anything, but I gave it a go and I really enjoyed it. And it's just a really fun addition to the hobby. I find it really relaxing doing the editing and stuff. And then it's nice when you get a few views afterwards as well. So yeah, it was mainly, it was like a selfish thing just to capture memories. And then it's evolved a little bit into like doing the construction updates at Drayton. But that's just because I want to make content. I want to do it. I love doing it. It's fun.
Yeah. That's good.
You've been into coasters for long? Like, or is it a relatively new thing?
No, so all my life, thanks to my mum and dad, we always holidayed in the UK. So we'd regularly go to Drayton, which is where my connection with Drayton comes from. Like probably between 6 and 10 times a year, we'd go camping. We'd get in from school on a Friday, and my dad would be like, "Right, we're going to Drayton, get everything ready," and we'd just go for the weekend. And these are the days when like you could just walk around Drayton. There was no gates. It was, you just basically walk in. It was like £8 for a wristband to go on unlimited rides all day. It's a long time ago, but we used to do that. And then every holiday, like summer holiday, involved going somewhere where there was a fun fair or Blackpool, Pleasure Beach or Skegness or whatever. So I just loved it. And I was quite a scared kid, but I got that whole buzz of like, once I had got on something and ridden it, and then got the buzz from doing it, that just got me into being a thrill seeker. So, and I've had season passes for places before, but yeah, it wasn't until lockdown that I realised there was this like whole community and people that love doing it as well, and it opened my eyes. And 2 years later, here I am. But it's cool. It's mad that I'm on this, really. Like I remember discovering this on about, I think it was episode like 9 or 10.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh my God, these are like normal people that just talk about coasters and like cool stuff at theme parks. So I like went back and listened to them all from 1 to 9 or 10. And I think I've like watched every single one ever since, pretty much.
Yeah, you're normally always here.
So, yeah.
Dedicated.
I just don't have a life. I don't have a life in the week. It's literally work in the week, and then weekends are my free time.
I literally work, and then on a Wednesday I work, and then I'm here. I don't even move out of my chair because I'm just in my office. So I'm just like, okay, and then I'm work afterwards. No, that's cool, man. That's cool. I remember you messaging me when you did your Portaventura vlog. I think you messaged me or you messaged Joe. I can't remember who it was. You were just like, oh, I remember seeing your Portaventura vlog. Made me really want to go. And then we looked at that, and that's how me and Joe started chatting with you, really, weren't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I bet I'd like commented on a few of your videos, but that was it.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it to anyone if you fancy like vlogging. Like I just do it for fun. It's not my job. I don't want to make it my job. It's not about that. But it's such a cool addition to the hobby.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, it is good. And it's one of them where like it's when I first started, it was literally just because I wanted something to do through lockdown. I started making like videos, just like talking to camera. I think the first vlog I made was just before lockdown. Was fireworks, and then my plan was to like come back and then start vlogging, and for me it was like the filmmakery stuff. But then as I went along, I was just like, it was just for the memories, because the longer you do it, the more you can go back on old videos and you go, oh, you're like, I'm so glad I've like captured that. And that's the thing, man. Like it's so much more authentic and genuine if you're just doing it just for the fun of it, rather than just like, I want to get loads of views, because you'll be disappointed. Like
I would be.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like,
you'll never be satisfied with how many you get.
No,
you always want more.
I remember hitting 1,000 subscribers, and it was like my goal for like so long. And we hit 1,000 subscribers to the channel, and then there was that initial like, yeah, and then it was like, yeah, but so what? Like I had this idea, and then from there I was just like, I'm just gonna make sure I just like do what I want to do, and only put stuff like I'm different. Like I'm it's a bit different.
I'm different, guys.
No, that sounds weird.
Not like the other vloggers.
I'm different.
No, because I like the style of videos I do. Like, obviously, I want to like it to be better than the one that was the last. But I think the best advice I could give is like not really care about that and just be a vlogger and just do what you want to do. Because I don't want to risk people going, it's got to be perfect. Because that's what I do, and it just it ends up leading to like nowhere, because then I don't upload.
But yeah, my thing in lockdown was just watching people have a good time at a park, and it almost like makes you feel like you're there with them, and that's all I want to do from vlogs, really.
Yeah.
And then like imagine in 20 years time when you can just watch them back. I mean, it'd probably be depressing, like looking at how young we were and stuff, but it's so cool. It's
what I tried to transition into, like just doing like them style of vlogs, like rather than the cinematic stuff. And every video I'd put up would be like, oh, like where's the cinematic shot? So I was just like, oh, okay, whatever.
Are you going to make any more ever?
I don't know. I really want to. It's just getting the time to do it now. Like if I was going to go back to doing it again, I'd go and I'd do it how I originally used to do it, rather than just doing like the point and shoot stuff. Just because naturally, like I'm a filmmaker, so that's just how I want to do it. Like, but I think I'll always be like one of them people on, the YouTube channels that release a video every like 3 months. but it's like polished. I'll probably be that type of person. But yeah, I hope to do it at some point. It's just like me and Joe have not been to like that many theme parks unless we've worked. And this year,
you're always working at them.
Yeah. So we're at theme parks all the time, but yeah, like not. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like we went Hyperia. I think was the have we been abroad? Oh, man, I can't even think where we've been this year.
Have you not ever thought of doing like obviously like with a packed workload, like the logistics of this might be silly, but like doing like a day in the life kind of style vlog.
I really want to do that, but it's just that awkward situation of asking your clients like, can I put this out there, and I can't know what the answer will be most of the time because we'll be working on something that like we can't talk about until like a month or so later, and then by then it's like an old video, and then like it's just but maybe one day. I've got a lot of behind the scenes stuff that like maybe one day I'll be able to like release it if they let me, but I have to ask them and stuff like that. But let's see, Coaster Bar Harry, what did you just say? I think people should aim to improve their videos over time, but you're right, Sean. Don't let that stop you making videos generally. Yeah, it's a bad trap to get into because I see some people now and they're just like they're spending ages on a vlog, and that's what I used to do. And then I seem to be like the longer I'd spend on a vlog, the worse it would do, and the quicker I did a vlog, the better it would do. Like because you can overthink some things sometimes. So. Karen said, I grew up watching my family's old home videos at Towers, Chessington, and have really fond memories of them. So I really appreciate taking vlogs for that reason. Yeah, man. Like, imagine, like, say if, like, in, like, I don't know, 50 years time, like, your family, like, whether it's, like, I don't know, like, your nephews or like, actual kids or whatever, like, discover your vlogs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're just like, imagine if we could like go and see like our granddad's vlog or something from like a trip they had. It'd be so mad.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, very cool. So that's Matt's story. Thanks for sharing with us.
It's all right. Feel better for sharing.
Do you have a favorite vlog that you've done, or still yet to edit? Maybe.
That's a tough one. No, I did really enjoy the Efteling one, and I did put like the day one of Efteling. I put a lot of effort into that and did some voiceovers and stuff that I've never done before, which made it fun to make. But that was also fun because it was so long after I'd actually been, so I'd forgotten most of it. So you get that whole thing of reliving the trip as well whilst you're editing it, which is really nice. But yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Nice. Yeah. I think that's probably. I'd probably say the same for ours. That's one example of like a video doing well. That's also like me and Joe's like favorite.
It's the interaction you get from it as well. I think like so many nice comments from like total strangers.
It was honestly like the amount of Dutch people on that afternoon blog. It was like educating me and like telling me more things and telling me to go and look into this and look into that. When next time me and Joe went to Efteling, like we knew like so much more to what to look out for. It was so cool. Yeah, it's really nice. That vlog's nearly on 100k.
Wow.
Jesus.
There's nothing else on my channel that I ever got to that much. It's mad. But yeah, there we go. So let's go on to our main topic, which is basically, can theme parks, roller coasters, what have you, be overhyped? And let's have experiences of like times maybe we've been disappointed or something like that. So who wants to kick this topic off?
I'll say, just because I found it interesting. We briefed it a little bit like before we started recording. You said that you don't think they can be Well, what you said is you don't think they can be overrated, right?
Yeah. So obviously, overhype is kind of different because that suggests like the hype up to something. So obviously, things can be overhyped because, like, I mean, Dark Coaster is a big example of that. That was overhyped the fuck. But obviously, marketing's marketing.
Who are you talking to that were overhyping that? Is my question.
A lot, like it was everywhere. And people, but I don't know. But overrated is, I find, like a bit of a weird concept because I'm like, what is it overrated? Yeah, like what are you what are you measuring that overrated? Like, because everyone has such like unique tastes and stuff. So
yeah, it's very subjective.
Well, there's things like what's the fucking,
but just to punctuate that, what I sometimes think is like when someone says, it's not always used this way, don't get me wrong, but when someone says something's overrated, that suggests like someone's lying. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you told me it's this good and it's not this good. Why is that? Well, that's what it like suggests to me.
So kind of what I was going to get into with and I mean we'll go back to overhyping, but like recency bias is a thing, and then certain coasters that get hyped up because of their location and not that many people have ridden them. Like that is a real thing. I know a few people who have been over to South Korea recently and ridden T Express and been underwhelmed by it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess there is that like flex of saying like I've been to this.
I've been to insert obscure country here and ridden this coaster, and
it's amazing, and you're missing out.
Yeah. That is a very specific thing, though. I say that though. I do like partly agree with what you like the point you're getting at with that, because I think that, and this kind of goes hand in hand both with overhyping something and, well, people overrating something, and then as a result, someone else overhyping that ride that they haven't done in their head. That people, so some people aren't in tune with their own preferences and just go majority off of other people's, just opinions and comments and potentially, depending on the coaster, overratings of that coaster as well. So they're going with this idea, like preconceived notion of this coaster, not paying attention to the fact that it might not be for them because it's just not their preference. And I mean, I've been through that a little bit, having, just redefined what my preferences are over time. And I think that's what people should try to do in order to avoid overhyping something for themselves. Now, there are a bunch of other different factors into that as well, like how the ride's running at any given time. Does it, like, if in the case of a really heralded wooden coaster, does it need, like, is it running well? Is it about to close for a lot, like extensive retracking or anything like that, which could affect their experience on it.
Like, it's like your experience with Guardia, isn't it? That was overshadowed by the ops, the people who are opping it.
To some degree. Operations is another one as well, for sure.
Because I'm gonna say that's like the main thing I hear you talk about on that. So I'm then thinking, is that also having like an effect on your opinion on that coaster because you were just clearly frustrated?
Well, excuse me. I try not to let it get in the way of what I feel about the coaster, like how I feel about the coaster itself.
I'm imagining you now being like sitting in there, just being like,
I mean, not far off. Like, literally, we had on, I can't remember which day of that trip it was, but we had an opportunity, like we were in queue for a night ride on it, and we had the opportunity to ride it, to get another night ride on it, like after that one, and we straight up didn't want to deal with the queue again. Like, we chose not to ride it again. and go elsewhere. That's how bad it got for us on that one evening. But I try not to let that get in the way of how I feel about the ride itself, because the ride, the ride is still incredible. But yeah.
I'd said, how yes, I hated my first visit to Phantasialand because of unrealistic expectations set by seemingly everyone. I can't understand like ever going to Phantasialand and being like, well, that was disappointing.
I've seen a lot of people had it with Taron, and I kind of had a similar.
I think most people.
I hadn't massively overhyped it for myself. But my first ride didn't quite meet what I was expecting from it.
Same.
But then after that, like, I kind of knew where to like realign, and it ended up living up to what I wanted it to.
There's so many coasters in like my top 20 that started out that way though. I mean, even Zarja, like I got, we did that and it was great, but it got even better throughout the day. But when I first did it, I was like, I don't know if like this is as good as I thought it was going to be, and it just got better. Shambhala was the same, I think. There's just a lot of rides that, especially if you're really, that's the ride you want to do, so you do it first when it's just like going around, which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah, that's what I did with Taron. I went and pre-queued for it on my first trip.
Yeah.
And then it didn't hit. But then when I went over and did Fly, I didn't actually have many expectations for it. And then I was just like blown away by it. Had the same with NGlandia as well. Didn't really have much hadn't listened to much about Zadra. And was just like, okay, that was amazing from the first ride. But Hyperion first ride, we were on, I think we got back row first ride, and it just did not deliver at all. I was just like, why are people rating this so highly?
Yeah. I mean, with Hyperion, I had that same feeling. But I just couldn't understand it. Really, why everyone, I mean, I still don't understand why, but I think, Mikhail, you said I did it. People were saying I did it at a weird time or something.
Yeah,
you did what?
Our first ride was really...
Hyperion, yeah.
Our first ride was really oddly not that intense on the back row, but then front row hit a lot harder. Yeah. And then the second day, the back row was just mental, but then also was ridiculously rattly. Yeah. So it was just like, okay. I can see where people are coming from with the rattle on this, because I was just being flung side to side.
I don't know, dude. My first ride on Hyperion, I said top 15 easily. So I can't relate. But yeah, no, I mean, like I've seen at this point, I've seen like more and more people say they prefer Hyperion to Zadra. I've seen people say that they found it really rattly. I didn't really, but then I don't really like. I guess I just don't really register with rattliness that much. Like it very rarely affects my experiences. But yeah, it does seem to be one that people can maybe have. I don't want to say misguided. Misguided sounds a bit harsh, but like I guess misaligned preconceived views of it. And
the funny thing about it is, like, I find, like, when something new opens or it's been open for a year or so, it's like Ad saying there, like everyone was saying it's like the best. He said, I have very spicy views on Taron. I won't share now for fear I'm being lynched. Trust me, at the minute, like most people, it just seems like a cool thing to do, just to go and do it and be like, that's crap. I think most people now, I don't think Taron, like, it doesn't hold up to what's like literally followed it. Like, I just don't think it does now. But I think it was of its time, even though it's not. I sound like it's an old coaster, but it's just there's a lot happened since Taron opened.
It's one of those that I think has a bit of a cult following.
Yeah,
kind of like how, and obviously these two rides. I mean, like Taron is like it could not be more different to this ride. But it's the same. It's the same way how a lot of people rave about Magnum XL 200. Like, I I really enjoy Magnum XL. Some people still have it as their number one coaster after 35.
You cannot, right? I do not want to be compared to like the arrowheads out there. Like, don't compare me to them.
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying it has not to the degree that rides like Magnum XL 200 have.
Yeah.
Their like, you know, dedicated following and stuff, which is cool, which honestly is cool as hell that a ride that cool, old still has like a following like that. But I mean, like, people like me and you, Sean, who rave about Taron, like again, it's not to that extent, but it's like it's sharing similar qualities.
Yeah, because... no, it is. I think it's but yeah, like going back to what I was saying, like, because he goes on to say that, but they're a large part due to being bombarded with opinions of it being the best coaster ever for years before riding. But it's hard, like, it's hard because it's like, it's almost like in your mind, you're like, everyone's got together to say like, this is like the best coaster ever. Like, they're all talking to each other in a WhatsApp group. But in reality, everyone's just going there being like, then the recency bias is a big thing. Like what you said, McCall, in terms of like when something new opens, it tends to be like the best thing ever. But like, you can only do that and like give your honest opinion. But if like multiple people do that at once, all you're seeing online is like, this is so good. Like, this is so good.
People do tend to just jump out the window a lot with their opinions, though, either good or bad.
I think in the moment after riding a coaster as well is very different to in a week's time when you look at it objectively.
Yeah,
and I think like Sean said, riding at different times of day. Like, I don't rank coasters. I find it too difficult to decide.
I was going to ask you for your top 10.
Like, Ride's Happiness is my favorite.
Yeah,
and I could pick my top 10 coasters, but I wouldn't be able to rank them in order.
Yeah,
apart from Ride's Happiness. But like, when you look at Taron, like, my first ride was really disappointing, but that was my fault because I'd overhyped it. Like, I think everyone's entitled to their opinion, and if they think it's the best thing ever, then they're not wrong for saying that. It's my fault for then taking that and overhyping it. But then, like, 2 rides later, when we did that night ride on Taron, and it was like one of the best experiences I've ever had on a coaster. But then I wouldn't know where to rank Taron in a top 10 because one ride was great, one was not so great.
Should be like normal rides, night rides.
Yeah.
Night rides
It cannot be taken into account, even though they always are. You got to think about the context as well. Like, just using the example of Taron because we're talking about that, is when it opened in 2016, it was such a huge. It was birthed out of what Helix is, so it was seen as an like whether or not people see it as an improvement or not. I don't know. I've not ridden Helix, but I don't know. I don't know if I would agree. But it was also like the most well-themed thrill coaster at the time on planet Earth. We hadn't seen all-encompassing, like, we hadn't seen theming on that level included on an entire thrill coasters ride area the way Fantasyland did with Taron.
I can't.
And if we have, please know that I might be wrong, but if there's one that I'm missing, then state your case. But I can't.
So, you know, when
2016, I can't think of another thrill coaster of that level of what Taron does, just as a coaster itself, being that well themed. I can't think of another one.
Like, I wasn't around in 2016, like, in the community then. Was it a massive deal before it opened? Because I'm guessing, like, was it the first big coaster that Fantasyland had in terms of the execution?
They opened Black Mamba in 2006, which a lot of people compared to Nemesis in the sense that it's a terrain-hugging B&M invert. But a bit more intricately themed, I guess. And I can't really remember of like the level of notoriety that Fantasyland had in the like late 2000s, early 2010s, but it did seem like them building an entire themed land with like on the level of Klugheim, and then inserting an Intamin multi-launch. I think the awareness had gone around that they wanted something like Helix, but built by Intamin. And there was a lot of awareness around that. Like there were pictures were floating around of it being built, and just seeing like the extent of what the layout did and stuff. Seeing some of the the more drawn out overbanks and stuff. But all I remember is watching a couple of vlogs from its opening weekend, and it already had that buzz about it. Like people saying that was breathtaking, that was this, that was that, and it definitely hyped it up for me. Like I was definitely watching those vlogs thinking like, oh, that is something I need to go and ride, because that's what I've always been looking for. Thrill coasters on that level, with that level of thematic integration in there as well. And I mean, I could it did not disappoint for me. Like
from the first ride, was it like, did it hit straight away?
Admittedly, I can't remember my first ride on it, but my first visit in 2018, I was like, oh, that is just like after the entire visit, I was like, oh, that is just as good as I wanted it to be.
Cool.
Admittedly, I wish I could remember my first ride on it, but I think rides and being like, oh, that is incredible.
Yeah, it's nice when that happens. Like Fly was exactly the same. Like that hit for me. Some people said they were just like a bit underwhelmed by it, but I just don't get how you could be underwhelmed by like Rockberg as a whole. Like it's just insane.
I'm trying to think of another coaster that I guess overhyped for myself and it didn't deliver, and I really can't think of one.
Well, I've said it a million times, but yeah, the Velocicoaster was like, again, it's in my top 10, so it's not a bad. I'm not saying it's a bad coaster, but it was just, it didn't hit the same way. But we're not going to go into that boring thing we've talked about so many times. But
mine was Shambhala.
But then again, what?
Mine was Shambhala. By a mile.
Really?
I never forget that first trip after COVID, first European park outside the UK, and again, kind of Sean and Joe's fault, I guess, because they'd like vlogged about this amazing coaster. I've never been on a B&M Hyper. It's so we went straight there. Yeah, we went straight there. First thing we rode, and I just got off and I was like, no. But again, own fault for overhyping the whole trip being based around getting on that coaster. But then, afternoon ride, realised I wasn't even sitting in the seat. I was out of the seat. And I totally got what the coaster was about. It just took a couple of rides. And probably to warm up a little bit.
It's strange for me because, like, it's only been, like, the last three years, I think, where this is, like, new wave of, like, Shambhala hate. And ads, I know you didn't like it before. It's fine. Right, but like I'm just seeing more and more people like, oh, this is, and then like later on being like, okay, I was wrong about that. But it's I never had a bad ride in Shambhala. But yeah, it's just weird how everyone interprets it differently, isn't it? Really, like the emotions everyone has, or I don't know, like the tolerances to certain forces and things like that. There's so much that goes into it.
I guess one for me, and this is not to say that I overhyped it, because going into it, I thought that it wasn't gonna satisfy my personal preferences anyway. Yeah. But Mystic Timbers at Kings Island, the GCI Woody over there that kind of breaks the mold from the idea of the wooden twister coaster that GCIs are. It's not really that. It's out and back. It's much more focused on airtime than it is, twisty moments and stuff. Like something like Thunderhead, which is my favorite GCI. But I mean, you still hear people rave about it to this day. Like, just like it's the best GCI. It's got so much airtime. It runs so fast. Like all of that. And like every time I watched the video of like watch the POV video of it or anything, I was just like, this doesn't look to have everything that I love so much about GCI coasters. Like, it's just out and back. Like, not to say that that's not good. That is, it's still fun, but I look for specific things in GCI coasters. And it's funny I say this because I love Prowler at Worlds of Fun, which is very largely the same kind of ride. But yeah, I rode Mystic Timbers in last year. Yeah, last year, and it's pretty much exactly how I felt about it going into it is how I felt coming off of it. So, like, this isn't what I'm looking for in GCI coasters, and it also didn't run that fast. So like, it was kind of like, I get why, because obviously I've ridden it at one time during 1 year. Like, obviously a lot of enthusiasts out here have ridden it at different times of the year. Apparently it runs better at winter, like during Winterfest and stuff. But I understand why people rate it the way that they do, because I think you can feel free to disagree, but it seems like most enthusiasts prioritize airtime over everything else. I am not one of those enthusiasts. And a wooden coaster that, you know, it does have a lot of airtime moments on it, a lot of enthusiasts are going to flock to that over others. So
yeah,
I guess that's one for me. Being a bit overrated, in my opinion.
I think airtime is such a tangible thing on a coaster. Like, it's such like a memorable thing that it's an easy one to like go, what do you like? Oh, I like airtime. Whereas I don't know what I like. I love airtime, but I love a first drop. I love a good first drop. That's like one of the things that's up there for me. But then I like most of my. There's a lot of launch coasters on my my top 10. But
yeah,
I do love a good big first drop.
Yeah.
But if you just mentioned that, and if we talk about things that like surpassed my expectations in terms of like, I didn't have any expectation, and then I was like absolutely blown, like it just come out of nowhere, probably because you wasn't expecting anything. It would be Thunderhead. Like, that thing, I think about that coaster all the time, man.
Yeah.
It would take a special coaster to like. That's my number one Woody.
And you rode it after a bunch of retracking as well. Like, you caught it running in a better condition than I caught it.
Yeah,
it was still my favorite GCI.
It was like,
it's unreal.
It's genuinely like Wicker Man's like much older brother. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like what Wicker Man's trying to do on some of the twists and turns, and like, it was just honestly, like, if I could say like one coaster where like my like arse didn't really touch the seat that much, it would be that. Like, it was just absolutely insane.
See, like, yeah, it mixes in those same kind of airtime moments that Mystic Timbers has into a really varied and creative layout. There's a lot of twisty moments, a lot of,
you just don't know where you're going.
You don't know where you're going at all.
You literally don't know where you're going
until you hit the brakes. And the fly through the station is really well done as well. Yeah. Like, there's airtime like coming out of that. And the one thing about Thunderhead that I thought was just like, I got off it every ride. I got off it thinking that's how a GCI coaster is meant to ride. Yeah. Like, it's the quintessential GCI wooden twister.
Yeah.
I don't know if Troy gave you that same feeling, maybe to a lesser scale, but that's
Troy did. Troy's just big though, isn't it? It's like it's big, and then it goes towards the end of its layout. It starts like doing that twistiness.
Yeah.
Which is what I love so much. I've not done it since 2019, and I've heard it's running really rough now. But then, I mean, I watched your vlog, Matt, and you really liked Troy, didn't you?
Yeah, favorite Woody, easy. And I was really like trying to keep myself not hyped for that, because I remember Emma had ridden it like after a 24-hour marathon at and she was like raving about it, but I was really like, okay, it will have been really warmed up. It's probably the best it's ever ridden at that point. So I like really had to play it down in my mind, but then it like blew me away once I got on it from the first ride of the day as well.
I have other friends who do that as well, like who just basically live by that. Just lower expectations.
Yeah, you're doing it to yourself, aren't you?
As much as possible.
Yeah.
So then you're either not disappointed or blown away by what you're given.
Yeah, I very much did that with Troy and with Ride Happiness as well. I went into Ride Happiness really scared because I knew I wanted to love it, and I'd seen people raving about it, and it was like the big one that I really wanted to get on.
Yeah.
But I did I didn't overhype myself, and then blew me away.
Yeah. I still
have you had coasters like that?
Mm.
Is there anything you can think of where you've been, you really want to love it, but you're scared to overhype it before you do it?
I think I had that same. Yeah, I had that same feeling on Ride Happiness. I get it a lot. I get nervous before rides, not because like a lot of people, like, because you're scared or whatever, or the adrenaline, but because I want to like it. Like Hyperia, like I was really nervous on that just because I was like, I want this to be good. Like I want it to be good. What we have it in the country, and it is good. It's really good. But yeah, how about you, James?
Yeah, I think similar. Ride Happiness is the main one recently because of like wanting to go on it for years.
Yeah,
and hearing everyone raving about it and being like everyone's number one, and especially just after coming back from Landia and like doing Zadra and that being number one, it was just like, well, how the fuck is Ride Happiness better than Zadra? Like seeing all these lists, I was just like really nervous about it living up. And then it was first ride, I was like, okay, that's amazing, but does it beat Zadra? Second ride, it was just like, yeah, okay. I can see why people are raving about this because it was just it delivered with what I was hoping. So
it's always them top tier coasters that everyone talks about like the most, where I get that kind of nervy feeling of like, this is going to be good, this is going to be crap. I had that a few times. I mean, trying to think of like America, because obviously we did a lot of bigger rides there. Yeah, like I-305, I think I was just genuinely nervous on that because I didn't want to pass out. I wasn't really expecting much out of that coaster except to try and kill me, which it did.
Or just genuinely nervous because you wanted, like, I hope I ride it. just nervous about the pure prospect of actually getting on it.
I mean, the fact that
they have on that trip, right?
Pantheon, yeah. But I'd just done Tutatis, like not that far. I think was it last year Tutatis opened or the year before? It was last year.
Yeah, last year.
I think.
Yeah. Seems like longer, doesn't it?
I can't remember if it was last year.
That was cool doing that on opening day.
Yeah, that was a really opening day Tutatis. I was one.
You've almost not got that hype then because no one's been on it.
Yeah.
No one's told you anything.
Yeah, that was a really weird day because like that was the first like ride opening I'd been to in like another country, and for such like a big, because everyone was like talking about that coaster for like months, like, you know what I mean, to the build up to it. Like we followed it on this podcast and everything, and it was just funny because like we was walking down and you'd meet people and some people like, yeah, just do it, not it's really bad, and some people like, yeah, it's really good, and you're just
really
like,
bad.
What is, yeah, like honestly. There was people on Twitter going like it's awful. Like it was getting really bad reviews up until about the afternoon. I think it was. It was so weird. Do you remember that?
I guess it just wasn't.
Yeah, I just don't know how. I just don't.
Warmed up that much.
And I was just like, so we were like, oh, this is going to be like not what we thought, and then did it, and it was like incredible, like absolutely incredible. But yeah, I think it was just it hadn't warmed up and stuff, and.
I wonder. I don't think it needs to warm up though. Like when you're being launched backwards over that airtime hill, like that isn't going to get any faster.
No, I think it's probably just because that hype in the morning. You know, the people who got on it before us, they would have been in like that real crush. Do you know what I mean? Like when everyone was like pushing forward, whereas we were taking it a bit. I mean, I say we take it easy. We were still like near the front, weren't we, of that crowd? But then we went and did another coaster. We did the bobsled coaster.
Got a cheese toasty.
Got a cheese toasty. Chilled out. I was like, we'll get on it when we get on it. But yeah, there's a lot of people coming up to us going, not that good. No, forceless, blah blah blah. And then we got on it, and we all come off like, what? What would you just ride? So good.
That probably massively helped us in that situation as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I got off that and I was like, my whole body was shaking. The adrenaline was mad from it.
One for me, that I guess that like there was like it was a really high bucket list coaster for me. Ravine Flyer 2 at Waldemere, which I did on this last trip, the Cedar Point trip. That it looked like everything that I wanted in a terrain gravity group wooden coaster, but I guess there was a tinge of, I hope this lives up to I hope I'm not overhyping this for myself. I hope I hope it lives up to everything I wanted it to be. And it eventually did. The first ride on it wasn't disappointing, but I think it was kind of similar to when I got on Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. It was like, oh, that was really fun, and I can see not to say that it wasn't as good as I expected it to be off the first ride, but it's more so like I can see where it's going to warm up during the day. Have you ever had that feeling before?
Yeah,
where you can actually you can see how it's you can see how it's going to get better throughout the day, and that's what ended up happening. Because the first ride, that was really super fun. Like, for anyone who doesn't know Ravine Flyer 2's layout, like it literally it comes off the first drop, and when you go over the crest of the lift hill, you see out onto Lake Erie. Like the view's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So it goes on the first drop, and then passes over a road which is going down a ravine, passes over that road, does a turnaround and comes back and passes over the road again. And it kind of just like plays with that terrain basically throughout the entire layout. And a lot of people describe like the way it paces, the way the airtime moments hit you. A lot of people describe it as a mini voyage in that way, because it kind of paces similarly. And yeah, like that was one where I was like, ooh, I hope this hits the way I want it to hit.
Yeah.
just a little bit. Like I knew it was eventually gonna, but on the first ride I was like,
I found it mega interesting Voltron opening day, like watching everyone's vlogs and opinions from that, because it was really mixed. Got up to some people's like number one coaster, and then some other people were like absolutely awful, like rattly, like not comfortable.
I saw some people saying that it was rattly as all hell, and then proceed to ride it 6 more times throughout the day and proclaim it as their number one coaster. I'm like, this is not someone I need to take seriously. What are you doing?
It's just really funny.
Like, just say you enjoy the ride. It's okay.
I think it's that thing of like people have got to like review it as soon as they do something sometimes. And it's like you were saying, Matt, it's like sometimes it's okay just to like leave it for a bit, like do a few rides on it, like maybe come back and then like make your decision up. But I see it on Twitter all the time, just being like, just did this, awful, like so underwhelming. And then like you say, like 6 hours later, they're like, oh my God.
Exactly.
I take everything back.
Voltron's a classic example of a coaster that got Bernard on my lap. Say hi, Bernard.
Hello.
Classic example of one that I'm really excited for, but really trying to not overhype for myself, just in case it is rough or like people saying it's better than Ride Taconist. Like for me, that's a massive claim. So it'll be interesting to see.
I think with Voltron is very interesting because I think it's a very specific type of coaster with a layout, like a Gerstlauer style layout. That I'm seeing people who love it, like love Gerstlauers. That's the what. That's how.
Gerstlauer Infinities specifically.
Yeah, Infinities. Yeah.
No, I do see that.
and not everyone, because like don't get me wrong, like, I love the Smiler. Like even when it's running good, and you have a good ride on Smiler, it is really good. But it's also a lot. like
yeah.
It's also there's no like breather from it. I feel like Voltron might have that, but it's also that kind of compact style thing. But I'm really interested to finally have a go. I'm more interested that they've just updated their classic Ghost Train.
I'd say.
Yeah, so we did it.
Reopened.
Yeah, it was like last week,
or 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
But that was like when we did it. It was a complete rip off of Haunted Mansion, like complete rip off to the point where like you went down the stretching room and there's like a hanging body falls out. And
what have they done to it now? Have they given it its own?
They've given it like a story. Like an actual story, because I
know Mark have been pushing like their IPs more. Well, I guess Europa Park, have been pushing. Well, Mark through Europa Park have been pushing more IPs, and obviously their VJoy. Is it VJoy? The streaming?
Yeah, VJoy is their thing. Isn't it? Mark 1 is like their creative.
Yeah. They've been pushing more of those. So
so they've so. Is it Euromouse or whatever it is? Like the
yes, they're releasing like a movie about.
Yeah, so there's an animated film, and it's in conjunction with like Warner Brothers or something. Like it's like a big production house, and then their animation department, Mac Magic, I think is the animation house. I'm sure it's called Mac Magic. I think it is. So that's going to be hitting like international cinemas, I think, next year. So that they're like making a film on their like main mascot of the house, of the park. But yeah, like when we read the Ghost Train, it was just a big mishmash of like just scenes. There's like no context to anything. It was just like, here's a spooky thing. But I really liked it for that reason, because I do like them type of rides. But yeah, they've given it a proper story. So yeah, I'm really interested to get back on that. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I feel like I loved Lost Gravity. So just going back to Voltron, I love Lost Gravity.
I love Lost Gravity.
If it's the same kind of sensations.
I really want to try Lost Gravity.
It looks the first airtime hill is probably the most violent airtime hill I've ever experienced. I didn't expect it either. So if there's a few moments like that on Voltron, then I'll be well happy.
Yeah, same.
Lost Gravity just looks, and I've heard that's one that I've heard real mixed opinions on. Like some people really don't care for it at all and say like it doesn't do much of anything. But just the forces and sensation on those wing seats look really quite quirky and interesting.
I think that is the word. It is quirky. It's a quirky coaster. Because I remember coming off it and going, that does feel like a Gerstlauer Infinity, but just way smoother. But then I heard some people saying the wing seats are like really rattly.
Yeah,
but I didn't find that. But yeah.
No. Cool. What I will say is just that I think the key to not necessarily not overhyping, because like I mean, like when you say preference, when you like I just identify your preferences, you can still overhype stuff that you think is really going to meet your preferences. But the key being just, I think, to not put so much stock in in everyone else's opinions and reviews of certain rides and stuff, and really get familiar with what you personally prefer in coasters.
Yeah.
And then key into that and find the ones, well, when you do that, when you ride coasters, when you do that over time, you start to see on new coasters that you haven't ridden before, you start to see the degree to which they satisfy your preferences.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to avoid overhyping something in your head because of what other people have said.
Yeah.
I think you get to learn as well when you're listening to other people's opinions. You learn about the people that like what you like in a coaster. So there's a select group of people, and if they were all to say, yeah, Voltron's amazing, I'd be more hyped because I know that they're very similar to me. I think it's quite good to try and learn that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you the more coasters you ride as well, not to sound like gatekeepy, like you need to.
I don't want to go down that road of like, so you need to ride this many coasters.
But I just genuinely feel like the more coasters I've ridden, like the more I know what I like the look of, and also like I know the potential of a ride as well. So like, you know, we were saying earlier, like you ride something and you're like underwhelmed, you're like, oh, I can tell it's going to be good like in about 4 hours. Or you'll just know, like, I know that's going to be better on the front. I know that's going to be better on the back. I just feel like it's just something you generally start like picking up on it. It's almost like you don't even think about it. You just know, you know,
for sure.
It's like for me, like I know most dive coasters will just, I'll be like, that was cool, but it's not going to blow me away. I know that because I've done a few. Oh, I've not done that many of them. Done about 5, I think. But I just know that in myself now.
And like eventually you get to a point where like you have your own preferences of coasters and you know exactly, you can not know exactly, but like you can see which ones are going to satisfy your preferences more so than others. But you can also appreciate what other coasters do, even if it doesn't.
Yeah.
And you can still key into what they're doing and still have fun on those rides and still enjoy them for what they are. Yeah, and I think that's an important point to get to, because like I hear a lot. I hear like some people say things like I don't enjoy anything at this park except for these 1 or 2 coasters, and it's like, well, why are you even going then? Like why are you paying all that money to go to a park, and in America's case, paying all that money for parking at that park to enjoy 2 rides?
Yeah,
like you don't, like, in my opinion, you really don't want to get to that kind of area. So like,
I find it really hard to go on a coaster and just not enjoy it, even like
same
a little coaster. Like there's probably 2 or 3 coasters that I've said I'd never ride again. I think 2 of them are SLCs.
Yeah.
But apart from that, like I would re-ride anything over and over again. I personally don't get how people can go to a park and have a bad day or not enjoy a roller coaster. Like they're just fun, right?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had like an awful day at a park. Like, have I gone to a park and gone, oh, well, that could have been better? Do you know what I mean? But
well, it's like it's obviously a lot of things can factor into like having a good or bad day and stuff. But I can't imagine going to a theme park knowing that you're only going to enjoy like 1 or 2 rides.
It depends, because if it's like a stop off on the way to somewhere else, then
sure, yeah.
I kind of had that feeling. I had that feeling about Carowinds.
And if you've done something like paid for a pass, and it's going to be literally free, for you to go in there, on the way somewhere else, to get a couple of rides on. Yeah, like a lot of people talk about like Carowinds' lineup and saying like it's only Fury and Afterburn and Copperhead Strike. Like if you're gonna stop off at Carowinds and get a couple of rides on Fury on the way to,
I mean, we didn't have a pass or something. We didn't have a pass. We paid for that park, but we paid for it when we didn't know Fury was going to be up. And I did have that kind of feeling of like, oh, should we just like stay at Busch Gardens for like an extra day? But then we're like, nah, we let's just go. And it was we left early, but yeah, I said it before, but that park for me struggled not having Fury, which to me they need to like, that's to me. I was like, they need to get another big like top tier attraction, because like Copperhead Strike's great, it is really good. Thingy. Oh, what the hell? What's the
Afterburn's really good, but it's not on. Yeah,
that's up there. That is up there on my invert list. I was very pleasantly surprised by that one. But yeah, it was Intimidator was like mid, So mid. so mid. Like
Thunderstrike or whatever it's called now.
What's that one? Oh, the
it's the reskin of Intimidator.
Oh right. It's the what? The what?
Well, like you know how the Dale Earnhardt like licensing is expired.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I didn't know this. I did not know this.
Yes, you did. We've talked about it.
No, it's not called Intimidator.
No, it's called Thunderstriker now.
Yeah,
They've taken off all of the Intimidator like stickers or decals or whatever on the front of the train, and all of the, you know, like the rally car sponsorship stickers on like the sides. They've taken all of those off and given it a new name,
it must have been a time when I wasn't here, because I didn't. That's the first I've heard about this.
Really,
I feel like I learned about this from watching Chain Dogs. So it definitely.
I'd say good in a way though, because like it felt like, I mean, obviously this is not everyone's doing this, like going from like King's Dominion to there, but I was like, this is just so weird that
we're talking about us.
But like, I'm like, it's just so weird how it's like the exact same like theme, but they couldn't be like more different coasters. Like, so it looks like, it was very weird. So is Intimidator 305 changing?
Yeah,
or not? Yeah,
it's called Project 305 now, because they're.
Have I been like? I've obviously been sleeping for like this so long. Oh my god, it's always going to be. Why didn't they just call it like?
Well, they
should have just removed the Intimidator and just actually named it I-305.
Yeah. They're trying to tie it into the Jungle Expedition area in King's Dominion. Right. I talked about this last week. Like they're trying to, like, with Rapterra opening. I think that I don't think they've quite figured out how they want to retheme I-305 yet. But I think that I don't think that this hasn't been confirmed, but they're trying to tie it into the Jungle Expedition area, which is funny because Flight of Fear is right next to it.
Mate, this is blowing.
Like, what they're going to have to do to that?
What's this called? P305.
Yeah.
P305. Oh, cool. That is just like, they could have called it, if they just called it like I3, like you said, I305. That was the project file. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, just call it that. Like, it's so weird.
Call it like Project PO5.pdf or something like that.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, man. That's just very odd to me. Imagine like being like, oh, go ride I-305, and then your friend's just like, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find I-305 anywhere. Searched all day. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there anyway. It is, we'll leave it there.
So Sean being mind blown.
Yeah, it's just so weird being host again. Can't get used to it. It's all on me. Thanks so much for joining us, Matt. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me on. It's been fun.
Hopefully next time Emma will turn up. And Luke. But yeah, thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Have you got anything you want to shout out, Matt? Anything? Any new content coming? Anything you've recently done?
There is something coming soon. I think I'm going to do my Spanish. I'm going to do my Spanish trip next. So Portaventura, Park of the Attractions, and Park Warner vlogs.
Nice.
Don't hold me to that, but
look out for those.
Yeah, so make sure you go and check out Matt's channel and subscribe. Coaster Giant. You're also on X or Twitter, however you want to say it. Instagram. But yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you.
We will see you next week, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.